Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to SolarChat, where we interview key professionals and industry experts, dive into product reviews, tech talks, and the latest trends in the Australian solar market. Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to SolarChat. Today I'm excited to announce that we've got Chris from SunPower joining us, and today we're going to talk all things solar and all things SunPower. Chris, thank you for joining us. Pleasure to have you.
Good to see you, Jack.
So Chris, you've made the journey all the way to North Queensland to come and talk to us, just to be on this show to talk to us about SunPower products, mate. Could you give the viewers at home a little bit of a rundown on your background, mate, and what you do over at SunPower?
I've been at SunPower now for 10 years, 10 years in March, in fact, next year. So I'm counting as 10 years. And my current role is Business Development Manager, looking after smaller partners up and down the East Coast, so from Cairns all the way down to Hobart, which keeps me pretty busy.
I bet you've seen a few things change in the industry in the last 10 years.
Lots of changes, and the great thing about solar and batteries and all the ancillary products, they're developing at such a fast rate, it makes it easy for homeowners to get ahead of the curve.
For our viewers watching that may not be familiar with SunPower, the brand, how can we box it up for them? What's its history? Where did SunPower start? What's the history of SunPower?
Good question. So SunPower was incorporated in 1985 in Silicon Valley by Dr. Richard Swanson, who developed this technology called Maxion. He came from the electronics industry and found a way to move all of the bus bars and lines and grids onto the back of a cell and patented it. And from there, SunPower has grown. So in 1985 we're established. It's now 2023, come out for 38 years. Not many other solar companies have that heritage. And as we mentioned before, the specialist projects we get selected for because of our reliability and efficiency. So SunPower has that heritage, that legacy, and the pedigree to go beyond others. So in terms of companies that come and go, you can rely that SunPower's been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and we're going forward.
Which is a big thing in the industry. I think that I was reading on the CEC website, it was somewhere around 4,000 brands or something phenomenal in the past since 2007 that have come and gone in the Australian market. Many
big brands have come and gone. We won't mention them, but mums and dads would know these brands if we mentioned them, that they're in-your-face brands that have their devices in their home, and they thought they were reliable and reputable, and yet they just pull out at the last minute because making money in solar is hard, and staying around for a long time is even harder.
Yeah, actually, just on that, Chris, with as you said, the industry moves faster than the iPhone and smartphone industry. How does SunPower as a brand stay ahead of that market, ahead of that fast-paced change?
Our technology, the Maxion technology, is used on all sorts of projects. So the World Solar Challenge cars that race this week or next week will arrive in Adelaide next weekend.
Yeah.
The cars that are powered with SunPower cells generally finish from 1 through 10. In fact, the first solar-powered car that raced with a SunPower cell finished 1.5 days ahead of the field. So that
Sorry, 1.5 days ahead?
1.5 days ahead.
Oh, jeez.
So the Maxion cell powers the World Solar Challenge cars, the Solar Stratos, which is an aircraft, the Solar Impulse 2, another aircraft. It goes on boats, it goes on satellites, it goes on a whole lot of technology that no one knows about. So that's how we stay ahead, continually developing that technology. But we've also got the P-Series platform that's right behind us here, and that technology helps us have 2 entry points into the market. But staying ahead usually is through the Maxion technology. The next generation modules, the Maxion 7s, which should be out sometime next year, we'll see module efficiencies up above 24%. Currently, they're at 22.6, 22.7. There's still about a 1% gap between SunPower and the nearest rival. So we've got a great heritage from 1985 to now with that technology leading the field. Competitors are slowly catching up. but we're about to see the next breakthrough above 23% efficiencies.
That is incredible. What do you think has been SunPower's secret sauce to their longevity in the market, in especially a cutthroat market where, let's be honest, you're up against Chinese competitors that don't really care about ethical standards and sometimes even aren't always playing by the same rules that the rest of the competitions like SunPower go above and beyond to ensure that they're meeting their ethical manufacturing and playing by the rules.
Yep. So in the industry, it's called ESG, Environmental, Sustainability and Governance. It's not such a big thing in residential, but commercial and industrial, it's a big, big thing as companies like Coles or Woolies, and they talk about, going clean and green. These companies want to align with brands that have no ethical issues, environmentally sustainable, and the governance of the company says that they don't deal with unreputable brands or processes downstream. So SunPower's been at the forefront of that in terms of sourcing material, manufacturing, and then even our factories. The Maxion factories have net zero to waste, which is amazing. Not many factories can claim that. We're also cradle to cradle certified, and there's a number of awards we've won for our environmental practices.
And I have to admit that's one of the things that I love the most about SunPower and compared to other companies and why we choose to use SunPower at Snap Solar, that you align with our vision, you align with our mission, that a company cares so much about their brand. And you can't claim to be a green manufacturer of solar if you're not putting these things in the spotlight, ethical and sustainable sourcing of wafers and materials that go into your cell. If you're going to cut corners and do things unethically and unsustainably, we're not making the world a better place.
No,
we're not
that's
putting
right.
out products that are going to make tomorrow a better tomorrow.
No, we've all heard about blood diamonds and conflict crystal and stuff like that. So SunPower audits and audits and audits, and we get external auditors to make sure our processes are clean and green and our manufacturing processes are clean and green. So we take it very seriously.
Oh, I've read the document that you guys, you're at to be honest, SunPower is at the forefront of the industry in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to see. And I'd like to see more and more companies follow in SunPower's shoes.
I guess, what it means for mums and dads is if they go with Snap Solar in Mackay and surrounds, and you guys recommend Fronius and SunPower, they're buying a reputable company that's local and they're buying reputable brands. They aren't the cheapest, but they're not the cheapest for a reason. They last longer, they perform better, they have better warranties, and they come from ethical companies. And so there is a price to pay on that, but at the end of the day, you're getting a better product, a better quality product.
With a company that's building a better tomorrow and a company that is building products that the warranty periods coming out on panels nowadays, it blows my mind. We're seeing panels that in 2020, 2018, the technology really hasn't changed, but somehow they get an extra 10 years warranty out of the exact same.
That's a really good point. So SunPower was incorporated in 1985 with that Maxion technology. We've had those panels in the market now, say for 30 years, 35 years. We know what's going to happen. So we can confidently predict that our panels will last 40 years. And we call it lifetime solar for mums and dads. You put it on your home once, and you have to worry about it. And we know that the modules will last 40 years and be working at a high efficiency at 40 years.
So, Chris, I'm excited for SunPower's future. What can we expect from SunPower over the next 12, 24 months? What's up and coming?
So we'll start with the battery. SunPower is a new battery offering for the market, the SunPower Reserve, which is a great product with a really user-friendly app, and we'll talk about that a bit later on. There's a new version of the P-Series module that will be released in Q1 2024. And as I mentioned, the Maxion Max 7 panel will be released at some stage in 2024. So the new battery offering, 10 kilowatt hours usable, a hybrid inverter. It can be installed after you have solar or with new solar. It's a great product at a great price point.
Sorry, is that an AC coupled unit or a
You can
DC?
do AC, DC, or a hybrid.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
so it's a good product, and yes, I have one on my home, and I can recommend it. As I said, the P series, the new P7 is very, very close. And if you're coming to Melbourne next week for All Energy, there'll be one on display. So we should see modules at 440 to 450 watts off the same footprint.
Fantastic. And that's actually, I want to highlight that because a lot of companies will bring out a 440 watt, advertise that the panel increases, the wattage is improved and the more performance, yet when you're married up next to their last year's model, all they've done is extended an extra inch around the framework.
Yeah, that's what they do, yeah?
Yeah.
The modular efficiency hasn't changed, so they've got to make the panel either
bigger.
wider or longer.
Absolutely.
Or a combination of both, yep.
I love the, it's like the old, I think it was the Caltex ad or the Penrite ad, which oils ain't oils, panels ain't panels, Chris.
No.
So Chris, you've bought some goodies for us. I'm curious, what is the difference between the Maxion cell and a standard cell?
So Jack, just to hold that up there. So that's a standard cell, and there's a SunPower cell or a Maxion cell.
And just to confirm for the viewers, these are bus bars.
Yeah,
correct?
they would usually run vertically, not horizontally. They run the other way. That's it. They run that way. So that runs that way. It doesn't matter for the SunPower cell. In fact, it does actually run that way. You can tell. So the SunPower cell looks different from the get-go. So this is N-type ultra-pure silicon, and all of the lines have been moved to the back. And I'm not sure if the camera can pick that up, but you can see there's nothing on the back, but the SunPower cell, everything is done at the back. You think about the cell, it'll capture more light, there's nothing to get in the way, there's no bus bars to expand and contract. It's a very clever piece of kit. But here's the take home. Panels get wind blown, they get pelted with hail, they may get the odd football or cricket ball, they may get the odd bird dropping on it. So all of those things, and installers can be a bit rough from time to time, not that Snap installers are.
Snap installers have soft hands.
They wear gloves. So what we'll do, if you want to put that cell in this bag, and we'll just do a quick bend test, and we can show people at home the difference between a SunPower cell and a standard cell. Thank you, Jack.
So guys, what we're checking here is the structural integrity of a standard cell versus the SunPower cell.
Why we put that in the bag is chances are that it's going to break into a million pieces.
No.
Get that ready.
My money's on the Chinese cell. There's only...
So Jack, just grab the two corners and just give it a bend like that.
You got that on camera? Oh.
So although the SunPower cell is broken, it has remained intact. So that cell with a big crack through it will still produce energy, probably between 70 and 90% of its original capacity. As you can see there, it's still in one piece, where the tier 1 or front contact cell is in a million pieces. And in a solar panel, the encapsulant and the glass hold everything in place, but that's a leading cause for hotspots and module failure.
Which we do a lot of system inspections, and admittedly a lot of the systems are after inspection replacement, unfortunately.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, and we'll drop some, for those that are watching this on video, we'll drop some some photos, images in the bottom here, with what Chris was referencing with micro cracking and hotspotting of cells. But this ultimately leads to module failure and an inefficient solar system.
Correct.
So you're putting the solar on the roof, and within 5 years, you may have panels that look like this. So I'm curious, Chris, you've been in the industry for 10 years now, or coming up to. What's the next 10 years for the industry look like? What challenges do you think lie ahead for the solar industry?
So in Australia, we are burdened with a whole lot of regulations, and on the solar forums on social media, you'll hear that go through. They're discussing Australian standards. That's always hard. Government regulations on a state level is hard. And I guess what really affects quality brands like SunPower is the cheap entry points into the market, where people think they're getting a really good value deal, but ultimately they're buying cheap inferior quality modules and inverters with absolutely no backup and maybe no even Wi-Fi connection to an app on their phone. And so that's what gives our industry a bad name. If we can avoid too many regulations and cheap price points, then things should be fine. But it's definitely a challenge.
And it's just to back you up on that, we all want to see homeowners and people accessing affordable solar. But what we want to see stamped out is solar that comes into the market for 5 years, exits the Australian market, and leaves homeowners with failed products, inadequate products on their roofs with no warranties and no after-sales support.
That's right. It gives the industry a really bad name. Those people, unfortunately, are still out there. The CEC does their best to stamp out solar cowboys, but there are still a few out there.
Yep. No, absolutely. From SunPower to superpower, mate, if you had superpowers for one day, what would they be and how would you use them?
Well, of course, there's the good old ones like world peace, poor people and hungry people, and that sort of stuff. But I'd like to be a comedian for a day. That'd be a superpower. I'd like to be like Jerry Seinfeld and go on a stage and tell my jokes. But it's a big gap between reality and superpower, I can tell you.
Do you have any jokes for the viewers while we're going?
None that can be said on screen, no.
Well, Chris, we really appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Chris, for joining us on SolarChat.
It's been great coming up to see you, and we look forward to your ongoing support.
No worries, we appreciate it, Chris. For all of you watching at home and listening, we'll drop some links in the description, linking back to some information on the SunPower products, the SunPower batteries, and this podcast linked with the images that we discussed before. Stay tuned, guys, for our next week's edition of SolarChat.